Okay, welcome back to the first major part of this tutorial. In this video I'm going to briefly explain the file structure, and then we're going to create the database tables. If you recall from the introduction, we had these three pages. I've removed all of the PHP code from them, so currently they will just, well, this file, blog list, just shows a blank page with a page title. Blog post shows a form, although at the moment it doesn't do anything. So yeah, we're going to add the code to deal with posting a new blog entry. Blog read again does nothing. This is just the comment form that will be shown at the bottom of each blog entry. This core folder is of similar structure to we have used previously. If you browse to it, you get this message saying basically it's error 403. You don't have permission to use this, access this folder. The reason for this is that we've added this .htaccess file to the folder just here. See, we're in blog root and we've gone to the core folder, and there's this htaccess file which just has this one line, deny from all. We used this previously. Basically it causes that 403 error, so nobody can access these files directly. For this video it wouldn't cause any major problems if people access these files directly. Like these includes, but it's just sort of good practice to restrict as much access as possible, and we don't really want people poking around with our files. This init.inc.php file is again similar to one we have used previously. Basically this in this case it will set up the database connection. It'll connect to the database and select the database. And it will include the two files in this inc folder. These two files, comments and posts.inc.php, are going to be sort of two back-end files which are going to define some functions that we're going to use from the pages that I mentioned previously. The pages here. These three pages are going to call the functions that we define in these these two library back-end type files. So each of these files includes this init.inc.php file, which then includes these files and also sets up a database connection. So that's pretty much it for the file structure, so let's move on to the database. Let's just go to my browser. You see I've created a empty database already, just called it blog. I'm just going to create a new table on this database, which I'm going to call posts. And this table is going to have 5 fields, of which the first is going to be the post ID, second is going to be the post title, third is going to be the post body, this one is going to be the post user, and finally we're going to have the post date. Data types for these fields: post ID is going to be an integer. I'm going to set the length to 6. Post title we're going to set as a varchar. I'm going to set the length to 255. The body we're going to set to text. No length specified for that. The user we're going to set to varchar. I'm going to give that a length of, let's say, 32. The date is going to be a date time. Okay. Oh no, one more thing. Scroll across. I'm going to set the index for the post ID to primary and set it to auto increment. Just click on save. See, that's created this empty database. Yeah, so that's that done. So next we're going to go back to the database view and create the comments table. Did I say database before? These are tables. This comments table is also going to have 5 fields. The first one is going to be the comment ID. The second one is going to be the post ID. So that's the post that the comment is for. So we're using the subscript, the sort of start post, not comment. The next one is going to be the comment body. Why does title come up? No, yeah, there isn't a title. The next one is going to be comment body. Then we're going to have comment user and comment date. Data types are going to be, for the comment ID is the same, int and 6. I'm going to scroll across, set that to primary and auto increment. The post ID is the same as it was in the other table, the posts table. So that was int and 6. Don't have to set any index for that. The comment body we are going to set to text. Comment user varchar length 32. Comment date is going to be date time again, as with the posts table. So that's that set up. Just going to hit save, and see now we have 2 tables successfully created. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the database. Just think we should move on. I'll just close this htaccess file because we're not going to be making any further changes to that. These are the files that we're going to be working with. Blog read, blog list, blog post are the 3 pages, and then this init.inc.php file and these 2 files are sort of back-end files. We're going to start with this init.inc.php file. Actually, we'll do that now because there's quite a lot of video time left and I'd like to keep the number of parts to a minimum. So the first thing we're going to do in this init.inc.php file is open the database connection, which we're going to use using the MySQL connect function, which takes 3 parameters as we know. First one being the server address, second one being the username, and the third one being the password. So let's just enter those credentials, which we've used in the previous videos, and then the next thing we need to do is select the database as before. Select, and if you recall from phpMyAdmin, I called the database blog. Okay, so once we've done that, we want to include these 2 files, which are currently blank, and from this init.inc.php file, these are in the inc folder, and then just the file names. So we are going to go back to our script and use the include function, and we're going to give it inc/posts.inc.php, and then we're going to do the same thing for the comments file. Include comments.inc.php. Okay, that's pretty much it for this file. Yeah, normally for a big project this list of includes would be much longer, but for this it's only these 2 files. So now we need to include this init file in each of these pages. So we do that again using the include function, like so. Include, if you remember from these 3 pages, the init file is located in the core folder, so that's the path we're going to use. core/init.inc.php. I'm just going to copy that, save that file, paste it there, save that file, so paste that there, save that file. So now we have this include at the top of each of the pages. So we can go ahead and test this by going back to our browser, going out of this core folder, just opening blog list. You see, oh, I've spelled my username wrong, very good. Okay, sorry for the example. If I go back here now and just hit reload, you see we don't get any errors. One thing I suppose I could talk about briefly, PHP is usually pretty good at telling you what you've done wrong. For example, this error, it tells you that access is denied, the user it's trying to connect with, the server it's trying to connect to. It doesn't tell you the password, but it tells you it is using a password. So yeah, the reason you get this other error message, access denied for user www data, is because in php.ini you can specify a default username. So say if you set this up sort of properly, you could leave out the MySQL connect line and PHP would automatically connect when you call the MySQL select DB function. So that's why you get this one as well. by default it has no password, and I think it is also by default just the user you run the script as. That's fairly relevant. So yeah, just from this message it's fairly obvious. It's not like a syntax error, it's just, well, you can see it's a typo. So yeah, that wasn't a deliberate mistake. I won't claim it was, but there, gave me an opportunity to talk about sort of a debugging step. Okay, so back to here. I think what we will do briefly is just define the functions that we're going to code in the next few parts. So the functions we're going to use in the functions we're going to create in the posts file. We're going to have one that checks if the given post ID is actually in the table, and we're going to use that to validate the page that the user is on. So say if they try to go to a post, like if they try to read a blog post that doesn't exist, then we can use this to show a message saying, sorry, this post does not exist. So I'm just going to create a new function, and I'm going to call it validPID for post ID, like so. It's going to we're going to define it to take one parameter, which is the post ID, and I'm going to leave this blank because we're going to concentrate on this block in the next tutorial. I'm just going to quickly comment what this function does. Checks if the given post ID is in the table. Well, I usually just have a quick one-line comment above each function to briefly describe what that function does. It's not necessary. Some people like to comment almost every line they write, which I find just to be a bit distracting. I mean, it makes the file a lot sort of longer than it needs to be. If you download any open source PHP project, if you like, you'll see that they have more comment than they have code a lot of the time, but just personal preference. The next function we're going to define is one that gets all of the gets like a summary of all the posts from the table, or tables I should say. I'm just going to call that function getPosts. Function, define a new function like so. GetPosts doesn't take any parameters, and again we're going to concentrate on this block in the next video. Just going to quickly comment this again. Fetches a summary of all the blog posts. The next one is getPost, which will fetch a single blog post, including all the comments from the database tables. Awkwardly similar name to the one above, but massively different usage, so it shouldn't be too confusing. We'll just define that now. Function getPost. Give it the post ID. Just going to comment this. Fetches a single post from the table. Fetches a single posts from. Okay. Final function is going to be one that adds a new post. So we're just going to call that addPost. addPost. This is going to take more than one parameter. First is going to be the name of the user posting the post. Second is going to be the title, and the final one is going to be the body. I'm just going to comment this. Adds a new blog entry. Okay, so that's it for function definitions in this file. I'm going to do the same for the comments file. There are less in this one, luckily, only two functions. The first is get comments. Oops, get comments. And then we give that the post ID again. This function will return an array containing all of the comments for a given blog post. So I'm just going to comment this again. Fetches all of the comments for a given blog post. It looks like I've spelled all that right. Amazing. And the other function we're going to define here is one to add a comment. So let's just do that. Add comment. Three parameters again: the post ID, the user posting the comment, and the body. Just going to quickly comment this. Adds a comment. Sorry, I've got to rush at the end because I've only got 10 seconds of video left. But yeah, that's pretty much it for function definitions, and I hope to see you in the next part.